Hey everybody, I'm John Gallagher, and I am the artist and creator of Max Meow, Cat Crusader. First, thanks for your patience, everybody. I just want to make sure everybody can see me on both Zoom and hold on, I'm not sure if everybody can see me because I'm looking at my. First off, let my cameraman say hi. Say hi, Will. Hello. But start my video. Okay, great. Well, I think I'm on both Zoom and Facebook right now. So let me start over. This is Comics Academy. I'm John Gallagher. I write and draw comic books, and my new book, Max Meow, Cat Crusader, is coming out from Random House Graphic in October 6th. You can actually go to my website, maxmeow.com, and pre-order it to make sure you get a copy on the first day. It's also going to be in schools, libraries, bookstores, comic shops, everywhere you can think of. Now, I go and speak to schools and libraries and bookstores about creating comics, mostly to kids, because kids' comics are what I create. And so while we've all been home a lot more, I've been trying to do different steps of creating comics, like how to draw characters, the different parts of a comic, like panels and word balloons, things like that. But today, I'm going to be talking about a really important part of comics and graphic novels, which is the cover. And I'm going to talk to you so you can see this is the cover for Max Meow. And there's a couple elements in all graphic novels and comics that kind of run through covers. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the original comics covers, as well as the covers that inspired me. And then I'm going to get help from my cameraman, Will. Say hi, Will. Hello. He's always very excited. I'm going to get help from Will talking about the graphic novel covers that he enjoys. But what's also cool, if you stick around after and I would suggest you get some paper and pencils and draw along, or you can rewind this and just draw a comics cover on your own. I'm doing this also as part of Random House has a really cool event going on tomorrow called the, PRH Virtual Con. Now it's for all ages of readers and including some graphic novelists and book writers talking about stuff. It's sort of like a convention online, but they're doing this art nerd contest. So if you draw a comics cover and have your parent or guardian take a picture and send it, do a hashtag in Twitter or Instagram. You'll need to know someone with Twitter or Instagram. They can do hashtag RHG Art Nerd Contest. And again, it's RHG Art Nerd Contest. You want to have a hashtag in either Twitter or Instagram tomorrow, April 24th. So talking about Max Meow, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this cover, which this cover has a couple different things that make it a cover. Because a cover, if you think about it, is one of the very first things that you're going to see with a book, whether you're on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com or in a bookstore or a library. And sometimes covers are the biggest selling point. So what are the things that would be really important for a comics cover? Well, let me show you a couple things about the covers that I grew up with. So I was about 5 years old, and I knew about superheroes because I watched a cartoon show called The Super Friends. So I knew who Batman and Superman and Aquaman were, but my mom one day took me shopping with her, and there in, I guess it would be like a CVS, it was called a Rexall. I saw this shelf, and it had all these magazines and books, and one of those had a very interesting cover. And it was this big. This is pretty big for a book. And the book was called Shazam. A lot of you might know the Shazam character now because the movie just came out. But back then, not many people knew about Shazam. And in fact, Shazam was called Captain Marvel back then. Not the Marvel Captain Marvel, but this one. And Billy Batson is shown, and Billy Batson says a magic word and says Shazam! And you've got that great big word, Shazam, right there. And that's one of the first parts of a book cover is the title. And sometimes having a really interesting, they call it a logo, or special type of lettering for that title is really important. Now, this is not the original comic that I read. This is actually another copy of that original comic. The one that I got back then fell apart because I read it so many times. Now, if you want to talk about the power of comics and how they stand out, this is actually the cover to the first appearance of Superman, Action Comics #1. Now, why do you think that this was an interesting cover? Well, we've got that logo we were talking about, Action Comics, and even the letters seem kind of action-filled. But now let's zoom in on Superman here, and you see it looks a little bit different. This was the first appearance of Superman, but no one had ever seen a character that looked quite like him in comics before. And he's smashing something, there's bright colors, but you know, it's simple enough that you know what's going on. You know that there's something special about this guy because he can pick up a car. Back in 1938, when this showed up, that was a pretty unique idea. Again, this is another reprint from when I was very young. But let's show some other really great covers. And there's some characters that you know. Now, you know I'm showing you classic comic characters because that's what we had back when I was young and there were dinosaurs marching around. Batman, this is a Batman cover by an artist named Neil Adams. And notice how Batman is jumping out at you. And there's a bright red background. That's what I think makes it really powerful, going along with a very cool logo. And of course, one of the great heroes of comic creation is Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby, a lot of you know who Stan Lee is. Well, Stan Lee wouldn't be quite so famous if it hadn't been for the great art of artists like Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby actually co-created Captain America with an artist named Joe Simon. He co-created the Hulk, the Fantastic Four, and another character, Thor. And you look at these covers, there's something really great and very straightforward, but also just something very majestic about those covers. Now, these are classic superhero covers, and I'm going to talk to you really quick about the steps of creating a cover. And remember, I'm talking a lot about comics for kids, but this is really good for people of all ages because I, as an artist, am still learning how to do things better all the time. And so if you're working on a piece of paper at home to draw a comic, there's a couple different things you can do. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let's call this, this is my Max Meow Cat Crusader comic. Well, if this whole page is our comic page, I'm going to just do an outline here, and hopefully you can see it. Will, can people see that pretty well?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's say we've got our border of our comic. If you're drawing on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, you can make that whole thing the cover if you want, or you can make it half that size. I mean, Max Meow is about 6 inches by 9 inches. You could even take one of your books and trace around it to get that size right, and that'll help give you a guide. So in a comic, and this is going to be our special diagram, this is the border to our comic. So pretend this is our piece of paper. Well, what was it that we had going on here? We had Thor. So actually, I'll use this as our guideline. We're going to have the word Thor. And you'll notice I'm using thicker letters, like bubble letters. And those are always a good thing to practice. And you see how it stands out? And, you know, Marvel Comics always had these sort of, they would have a strip across the top that said Marvel Comics. So sometimes it would say, if you wanted, let's say it was Will Gallagher Comics. Maybe you create a little logo for yourself, a WG, and a line across that would say Will Gallagher Comics. When I was a kid, I had my comics company was called Sonic Comics. But nowadays, I work with Random House. So this is usually the top third or top 25% of a cover. Then we want to get into the use of a character. Now, one of the things is sometimes, I think most times you don't want more than, say, 3 characters on the cover. There are exceptions, always exceptions to the rule. But in this case, Captain America by Jack Kirby and John Romita, what you actually have the Falcon down here, if you can see him, and there's a bunch of people in the background. But you notice there's like only going to be a couple main things in a thing. We've got our logo, we've got our main character, we've got a secondary character, and a background. So let's switch this. We're going to mash this up. So now we've got Captain America. And of course, I'm going to keep him pretty simple so we can get this idea across. And remember that Batman where he's coming out at you? In this case, I'm going to draw his hand coming out right out at you. And maybe give him, I actually swapped it here. His shield is usually being held in the other hand. But, you know, Cap, he's ambidextrous. He can swap that out. And he's jumping out in that hand. Maybe we make it a little bit thicker with the lines to make it come out at you a little bit more. And give him his boots here. And he's running. And let's just say that we're keeping this really, really simple. You've got your logo. You've got your main character. Maybe you even have a burst here. And you put a big number 1, like this is the first issue. Those are some basics of creating comics. Often you can have a burst where something's going on. Look at this one. They've got a big line across the top that says the Mad Bomb. So you know this is going to be an exciting sort of story. Now, those are the basics of comics, and I've shown you some classic comics, but let's switch over to my buddy Will, who's also my son and cameraman, and get his viewpoint on some modern-day graphic novels. Take it away, Will.
Hello.
Hello.
This is the first graphic novel that I've read multiple times. It's called All's Fair, and it's a book. I love it. It deals with middle school and a girl who works at a Renaissance fair. What I love about this one is you can kind of tell if you really look closely, she has a backpack and she's in the Renaissance fair costume. So it really gives a lot in a little. So, and then
so it gets across a very complex idea in a simple way.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then
that's by Victoria Jameson.
She has a Newbery Award for Roller Girl.
Roller Girl, yes.
The next one is Amulet.
Uh-oh. Anything can happen on live TV, folks.
The next one is Amulet. It's a book. It's kind of a mystical feel, and it really.
And who's that by?
Kazuo Kibuishi.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of has a feel that it has mystical because there's like an unknown creature down here, and then like my dad was saying, there's 3 people on the cover.
Right. There's also sort of a mystical creature along the bottom, but I was talking to you before about this. What's the rule that it seems like Kazuo is breaking here?
Well, most books have the title on the top. He has it in the middle, and the reason the books had the title on the top was when they used to sell comics on these special sort of stands.
Well, like the racks, like in a bookstore.
Yeah. They would have
or magazine stand.
They would have to show the they would just show the title and maybe one person's face. So it'd be like this, but if you
So I said he broke the rules, but it's kind of neat that Kazuo does that.
Yeah. Our next one is Hilo, and I really love this book. It's by Judd Winnick, and you can tell it's kind of like a superhero type book because Hilo, this character, looks a little different from these two, and you can tell it's like they kind of look like the sidekicks because they're a little smaller than Hilo. And you can also tell that he's an alien because it says
the boy who crashed to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's what's fun about that book is I think if you were someone who was a little intimidated by books, seeing such a happy cover would make you interested.
Mm-hmm. This one is called Drama. Just by the cover and the heart, you can tell that there might be like love in it. And then it's also, if you look closely, it's actually a stage. So there's a sense of drama. The name is great because there's a sense of drama in like love relationship drama and drama as in acting drama.
Right. That's sort of an unknown creator who made that, right?
Raina Telgemeier, she's the author of Smile, Guts, Ghosts.
Right. And we talked, even though this cover design's a little bit different, we talked about how great the cover to Smile and Guts is because
it's very simple,
yeah,
but it shows a lot. And then for Mighty Jack, you can tell it's a very like adventurous book and pretty mighty. And then you can tell that there are the three characters and they're all fighting this weird plant. So
yeah, they're kind of surrounded, so you get that feeling of danger and excitement. And that's by Ben Hotke, who also has done Zeta the Space Girl, if people are familiar with that.
It's an action-packed book.
Cool.
You can tell just
well,
by
thanks,
the
Will.
No problem.
And Will, our graphic novels, how often do you read graphic novels?
Probably every day.
Yeah. Just to show two modern, well, actually three modern graphic novels or comics that I like. This is actually the chapter book related to a really cool graphic novel series called Baby Mouse by Jennifer L. Holm and Matthew Holm. They also do Sunny Side Up, but they've done, I think, almost 20 Baby Mouse graphic novels, and it's a very simple style. But look at that. It just gets the idea across. You kind of feel what's going on. This title of this story is Miscommunication, and she's got a phone. You can tell that this is going to have something to do with mobile phones, and, you know, Baby Mouse is a teenager in that story, so that relates. Another book that kind of breaks the rules when it comes to a cover is by Svetlana Chamakova. I hope I said her name right. I'm a big fan of her work, and this is Brave. And you'll see, again, we've got that three. A lot of artists, like famous painters, always worked in like almost like a triumvirate or working with a three things in number three in their paintings. And this is a case where there's a nice balance, but you can tell there's three very different people, and you're kind of trying to figure out how it's going to suggest that one or all of them is brave. And then finally, this is one of my personal favorites, Cleopatra in Space by Mike Mahak. And there have been, I think, 6 or 7 volumes of Cleopatra in Space. It's about the actual Cleopatra traveling forth into the future and doing all sorts of cool outer space stuff. And you'll see this is a kind of neat pose because there's a rocket. Oh, cool. There's rockets there. There are people, modern people. And of course, I don't know if you can see, there's a cat. I'm very partial to that with my own character, Max Meow, being a cat. I love dogs and cats. And if you think about movie posters, that's kind of like a cover as well, isn't it? Star Wars has one of the most famous, Indiana Jones. And another thing I tell people about when they're working on covers, so we talked about how like things like Amulet has the logo across the middle, Brave has it along the bottom. We're not bound as much by all the rules that we used to think we had to follow. And that's what I really love about kids' graphic novels and web comics. Web comics break a lot of rules as well, if you've had a chance to look at those. So now we're going to talk about, we're going to create a cover together. And Will, I don't know if you can see comments from anybody, but if anybody has any ideas on things, we were going to try to set up a thing where people could vote. But if anybody has any suggestions, I do see on Facebook Live some people are chiming in. If people have ideas on Zoom or Facebook Live of some type of character, maybe we could create the 3 ideas we're going to give was, would anyone like me to do a cover with Max Meow, a superhero pickle, or an evil slice of pizza? But I'm also open to other ideas you might have. So the idea is we're going to do a cover just like you can create, and you can do your own cover. You don't have to do what I'm doing. This is one of those things where you're supposed to have fun. So again, I'm going to make this cover, and most covers are tall. There are some books that turn sideways.
Someone on Zoom said Shrek eating pizza.
Shrek eating pizza.
Or evil hamburger.
Or an evil hamburger. I'm always partial to hamburgers. and then keep bringing in ideas, people, and then think about cool names or types of comics you would like. So we showed there's science fiction comics, there are comics about relationships, there are comics about superheroes. Again, that's another really exciting thing about covers. And if you enter this contest tomorrow and add PRHG Art Nerd Contest, the hashtag, you're going to have someone put that on Twitter or in the Instagrams. And I didn't even tell you what the prize is. It's a copy of Max Meow plus a copy of all these other cool books from Random House Graphic. And I think that there are so many cool books. I couldn't even go into it all, but there's one called Astrid, which is kind of like a magical girl. There's a couple different books that, like, I'd definitely say, like, if you like any kind of graphic novel, there's a book there for you. But you would get all of those to either share with your family and friends or just hide away in a closet and read to yourself. But going back to Max Meow. So, like I said, here's the cover, and this is coming out in October. But we have to go back almost a year and a half to 2 years when we were first designing the cover for Max Meow. I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I would get really frustrated with my art. I could never get things just the way I wanted. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who get frustrated with their art as well. Well, coming up with the perfect cover is a really hard thing to do. And it takes a lot of sort of trial and error, just like anything. So I'm going to show you, these were a couple, they're a little more finished than just pencil sketches, but these are a couple of the sketches or ideas for Max Meow. In this one, I had the idea of Max is he's jumping out at you, like he's bursting through the book. And I think that's an idea that's been used before, but if you look really close, you can actually see the inside of the comic is there behind him. So it's like, this is such an exciting comic, he jumped out of it. And then there's just a suggestion of the buildings. Now, there's one extra thing here that the classic comics don't have, but the newer graphic novels do, and that's the author's name right there. I think if you're doing covers, that's something you could do or not do. I always tell people, though, if they create artwork, it's always good to sign your art. Another idea was that we show that Max can fly, and we suggest some of his friends. So up in the corner here is his scientist friend Mindy, and lower down is Agent M, who I think the M stands for mouse, but I think he's actually a rat. And then Max is kind of flying up there into the sky. And you'll see there's a couple different ideas for the logo too. Like originally I had this tail because Max has an electric hat tail that shoots sparks. But this one didn't really work as well because it kind of separated the attention. We decided we did like the attention. We get a funny comment, Will?
On Facebook.
On Facebook? What does it say? You were the coolest dad ever? I like that one by my friend Rainey.
Max needs a girlfriend. Kitty Kane.
Max needs a girlfriend. Kitty Kane?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that. Max is too busy being a superhero to worry about girlfriends. Come on. And then this was another cover that I came up with where Max is kind of coming out towards you, but he's flying at the same time. And if you look at what we ended up with Max Meow, it's very, very similar. We changed the legs a little bit. And you notice, so I probably went through maybe 15 or 20 different little variations for Max Meow before I got to the cover. And then sometimes what's cool is, like, here's the inside. If you open up the book, you'll see there's Max flying. Some of the art that I drew for covers ended up getting used at different places in the book. So it's never a waste to try to draw something, even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. Okay, but enough talking. Let's get back to some drawing. And I'm going to pull, let's see, this is going to be a little bumpy. I'm going to pull the camera a little closer. So instead of looking at me, you're actually looking at the board. And it's 7:30. Thank you, everybody who's joined us. Hi, Cousin Kathy. And hey, my buddy J. Robert Deems. Got a couple different people here. Jose, hi. Who else is on Zoom there, Will?
Beth, Charles Dowd,
Charles, Duran,
Ruby, Sar,
Ruby,
Saba,
Sar,
and the Bartleys.
Wow, and the Bartleys. Wow, these are some people. Some of them are my students in some after-school comics classes. And if you check in on my Facebook page or go to maxmeow.com, you can see videos of my Comics Academy because I've taught, and some of my ideas for Max Meow I actually got from teaching after-school comics classes. So what did we decide? What were the ideas that we had? Were there any more ideas for a cover here?
Shrek shouting, "Get out of my swamp," while getting out of his moon outhouse.
That may be a little too direct from the movie. I think I'm going to go with that. Was it an evil hamburger or a good hamburger?
Evil hamburger.
An evil hamburger. Okay. So there are books called like The Bad Guys that star supervillains, I think. So in this case, and then let's see, we need a really good villain name for him. I guess Big Mac isn't good, although that he could make you sick. You never know. Uh-oh, if there's any sponsorship problems there, I apologize. So let's start off with the idea. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw really lightly. Now, you're going to probably draw with pencil. Since it's hard to see pencil, I'm just going to do it pretty light. Now, I'm going to keep the logo at the top. Remember that top 25%? And maybe I'll have a big object in the middle, probably our evil hamburger, and then maybe some smaller things along the side, like a burst that says, like, you've got to read this.
The Whooper.
The Whooper?
The Whopper.
The Whopper? Okay.
The Whooper or Whopper?
Let's call him the Whooper so I don't get sued by Burger King. I know we're going to call him the Big Whooper. And then, you know what? You can have a tagline at the top. So I'm going to do Big. And of course, usually you'll do your drawing. I'm going to just figure that I'll take up this whole top area with the Big Whooper. And then here we need our hamburger. So he's a supervillain hamburger. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw like some evil, dark sunglasses for this guy. And maybe a bun. What would make a burger turn evil, Will? What do you think?
Radioactive meatball.
Maybe some rancid bacon?
Yeah.
So, I know. So I'm going to use the bacon as kind of like his arms, that he can reach out and grab people and give him a really gristly piece of meat. Kind of like the stuff my mom used to make us at home. Sorry, Mom, if you're watching. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Your hamburgers were always really good. In fact, I love hamburgers. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to turn the camera for a second. I actually love hamburgers so much because I love diners. And there's my diner booth here and then look, there's my special waiter, Will. So as you can see, I am very partial to hamburgers and have probably drawn lots of them. In fact, I did a comic called Buzzboy, where Buzzboy loved hamburgers and cheeseburgers and milkshakes so much he owned his own diner. And that's something I haven't really talked about, which is because we're focused mostly on covers. But if you create a character, and again, you don't have to do the Big Whooper. You could do your own character based on, let's say you like skateboarding and tigers. You could do the tiger skater. Or let's say you like gymnastics and field hockey. You could have a character that can do those things. That's the thing about creating characters is you want to create characters that are based on things that maybe you're interested in. So this is perfect because I eat way too many hamburgers probably. I do like to grill them. Okay. So we've got some lettuce, some cheese.
Another comment. Max needs a dog sidekick too. Peter Pooch.
Peter Pooch. Wow, there's a lot of enunciation and alliteration going on with these characters. So the Big Whooper, I want to hear who the Big Whooper should be teamed up with or who would be his enemy. So what I haven't shown is, let me add a mouth here where he's looking like with teeth. And let's add some eyebrows. With eyebrows, really, eyebrows, if they're like this, you look angry. If they're like this, you look kind of happy. So obviously, since he's an evil burger, we want to make him kind of evil. And then let's give him some legs. And he doesn't look very scary, but he could be a bad guy. Maybe he could never be taken serious. So I'm going to give him these like soccer cleat boots because maybe he likes to stomp on people.
The big whooper's catchphrase can be "You just got whooped."
Okay, we'll add that right here. We'll add it at the top. That'll be our "You just got whooped." Wow. You know, when I sell this book, I'm not giving you people any royalties whatsoever. I'm just telling you right now. No, just kidding. You just got whooped big, and now it's time for us to do our bubble letters. So, how do you spell whooper, Will?
W.
Yeah.
H.
O.
P.
And you'll see I'm kind of doing overlapping with the letters. ER, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I've had a lot of practice. Do this lightly in pencil before you get too close, or you might end up having your words go off the side of the page or down. And, you know, I do a lot of my design with a computer. In fact, I should point out that my day job, when I'm not doing comics, is I'm the art director for Ranger Rick magazine. So to all my friends who know Ranger Rick and I work with at Ranger Rick, hi, how are you? And this, I do a lot of cover designs, and this is one of the covers that I did. And in this case, I played off of an idea where I had this red panda's ear go in front of the logo. Now, that's kind of a no-no most of the time. This is a subscription-based book, so I got away with it. They let me get away with things sometimes at Ranger Rick.
His sidekick's name should be the Little Whooper.
The sidekick should be the Little Whooper. Okay, well, you guys are all scaring me here. So now one thing I could do too is I've got the Whooper. I could make these buns, the O's, so they're like sesame seed buns. There's a lot of different things you can do. And then let's say this is just a regular. So if this were a book, you'd put John Gallagher or the name of the author. Now, if this is like a traditional comic book, you know, they didn't do that. They didn't usually give the author's name. Although Jack Kirby, who I was talking about, he was so special, they actually refer to him as King Kirby up here. But in most cases, the old comics, they didn't do that. So we're going to do this. We're going to write, we're going to do in this issue, and I'll make a little burst. Oh, I know. We'll have the hero who's going to take him on. Who should be the hero that takes him on? Like, what's the opposite of burgers? Hot dog. Okay, that's right. We'll, maybe we'll make it a hot dog that is a dog. So he's like a wiener dog. And I don't know if you can see, I'm kind of drawing the wiener dog here, but he's got hands and he's inside a bun, and we'll call him Top Dog. Okay. And here's where we'll do the name. I'll just write Gallagher. Okay, so we've been doing this for a while. We've talked about all the different parts of comics. We talked about the logo. Here's a tagline, which we had not even really talked about, but sometimes it's fun. In fact, with Max Meow, where is that? Let's see. Do we have that? Did you already sell that? Just kidding. Actually, Max Meow has a tagline. His is, he's a hero with catitude. Now, I have to tell you, I didn't always love puns, and I didn't always love cats, but in this household, you have to love both. So Max Meow, a hero with catitude, has really stuck with us.
From cat to cape.
From cat to cape. That was one of the early things that we used to say. And Max Meow, it's never bad. Like, you just got whooped. That's also like something the bad guy might say all the time. And Max Meow says meowza whenever things are going well or bad, or he's taking on a supervillain that looks like a cheeseburger. So everybody, in the last 40 minutes, if you've Just 20 minutes?
There's 20 minutes left.
Oh, there's 20 minutes left. But no, I mean, in the last 40 minutes, we've gone over all this stuff, and you at home can be drawing your own comics. You can take pictures of them, and then if you go to my Facebook page or you go on to Twitter or Instagram and look up RH Kids, at RH Kids on Twitter and Instagram. Hold on, we're going to find... There's a printout here somewhere. Is it down here?
No.
I don't know.
Oh, here it is.
Here it is. Okay. If you take a picture with your mom or dad's camera or your own, and then have them, you have to be 13 to submit it. So even if you're younger than 13, your mom or dad can submit it for you. And you just go online, you post it to they post it to their account, and then they put the tagline. And the people at Random House will see this and take a look at your covers. And the thing is, even if you don't feel like sending that to them, you can send it to me via my website, maxmeow.com, or on Facebook. I would love to see these. I've had some really great art sent to me for my Comics Academy fun. And let's see. So we've done a cover. We have just a few minutes left. If there are any questions about creating covers, I'd love to hear them. Or if anybody has some more really bad ideas for girlfriend names for Max Meow. But otherwise, I'm just going to talk really quick about creating Max Meow and creating characters, because it's really easy for me to say, oh, draw a hamburger, because I've been drawing for years and years and years. But the thing I want to tell you is if you use simple shapes like a circle, a triangle, and a square, you can draw just about anything. In fact, in this case, I'm going to add, I'm going to show something that I did the other day. Let's pull that circle and make an oval. That's a really great way to make a head. Now let's add some triangles. And then we add a square, parts of a square. You notice I'm not drawing the bottom part. Have you figured it out yet? We can also cut that circle in half. And we've got a completely original character that no one has ever seen before. No, but my whole point is that all objects are made up of shapes. When I was very young, I watched Sesame Street, and they used to talk about that. Like a door is a rectangle and a light is a circle or an oval. These are all things that are pretty interesting. You can make really interesting things out of simple shapes. So I would say to you, if you're working on the cover, don't try to draw anything perfect. Just try to draw something fun. It can be a stick figure, and you just add on some extra elements to it. So let's take these shapes. Let's make him a robot. We've got our circle. Draw some eyes here. Give him a microphone. And let's give him some arms. These are all characters that I just create off the top of my head, and you can do that as well. Just using simple shapes, you could create something fun. So that's my spiel. I wanted you to know about this really cool contest that Penguin Random House is doing. They're having a virtual convention tomorrow, but they are having this art contest. And if you enter it, you might actually win a copy of Max Meow, Cat Crusader, and a whole bunch of other really cool books. And if you don't win, you can go to maxmeow.com and read some more comics. There's activity sheets, and also find out how you can pre-order a copy for when it comes out October 6th. So I'm John Gallagher. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. Will you think we'll be able to turn it off?
Hopefully. Katie Baxter
Gagan
said, we think the girlfriend's name should be Princess Purr.
Why does everybody think Max needs a girlfriend? So Max has plenty of friends he can hang out with. His best friend is Mindy. She's a super cool scientist. They're just friends. I don't want to get into all that relationship. What do they call that? Shipping? They still say that? No,
No?
I'm already dating myself. Anyway, I do think there have been some really. Someone said, "Haha, wiener dog." My friend Ellen said the enemy could be mayo mouse. You know what? That makes a lot of sense, Ellen, because I really don't like mayonnaise. And then let's see. And someone did say appropriately so, Will is a natural presenter. So anyway, if you go onto my Facebook page or onto YouTube, you can look for Comics Academy or search Max Meow, and you'll be able to find it. And you'll see some of the other cool drawing things. If you've got a friend you think might enjoy this, please share that with them as well. So I'm John Gallagher. This has been Comics Academy, a live version, and I appreciate that you all came out. Thanks, everybody. See ya.